words, what does it mean to be literate?
To be literate is actually a pretty big privilege. There's a lot of people who can't read, and I think it's a huge privilege, and it grants us the opportunity to go to establishments like this college here. So.
Do you think literature is important? Why or why not?
I think literature is extremely important. I think it helps to build certain thought processes and helps people to learn on a different level than just learning from somebody else. So I think it's hugely important.
In what ways, if any, has literature impacted your life?
Literature has impacted my life because sometimes I could just get away, read a book, any type of book, whether it's like an informative book or, a traditional chapter book or novel like Pride and Prejudice or something like that. So it's a good escape.
Why could learning and literacy be considered very closely related?
I think we learn a lot from reading and learning a lot from other people and what they have to say. So I think literature is a huge part of learning.
In your opinion, do students learn more from reading or writing?
I would say it depends on the person. A lot of people learn differently from applying themselves in writing, and other people learn from reading what other people have written. So it depends on the person.
What makes someone a good reader?
I would say an active reader, somebody who pays attention to what they're reading, somebody who can relate to what they're reading as well.
Do you consider yourself a good reader? Why or why not?
Depends on what I'm reading. If I'm interested, then I am an active reader and I get really into the book. But if it's really boring and I can't be bothered to be interested, then probably not a good reader.
When did you start reading?
I'm not really sure. I didn't really think about that. But I think we probably started learning around preschool or kindergarten, I would say, that we all started learning to read. So I'd say that's probably it.
Did you find it difficult to learn how to read?
I think I was about with everybody else. I found it, the same level of challenging than all my other peers. So, it's a new thing to learn, so it's kind of hard, like math, I guess.
What is your favorite book?
So many books. I really like Pride and Prejudice. That's one of my favorite books, but I also really like the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So I guess I would have to say those two.
What is the first book you remember reading?
I remember my dad, he used to read me The Big Red Strawberry every night. It's classic.
If you had to guess, how many books do you think you read in the past year?
Probably like 7 to 10 books. Yeah.
Did your parents read to you a lot as a child?
Not a ton, no, but I guess the decent amount that you have to read to your child.
What is the last book you read? Did you read this book for school or for pleasure?
The last book I read, it wasn't a book, it was a play. I read Hamlet by Shakespeare. So, and it was for pleasure, yeah.
Do you ever listen to audiobooks? Why or why not?
Yeah, sometimes I listen to them in the summer or when I'm driving. So that I can just have something to listen to. Or in the summer when I'm tanning, because it gets too bright to read, so I just listen to it.
Have you ever read a graphic novel or a comic book? If so, what did you think about it?
I have not.
What is your favorite genre?
I'm not sure. I wouldn't pick a favorite genre, actually. There's so many different levels of literature that I like. I like classic literature. I like kind of like how to do things and books on like learning from other people. So I couldn't pick.
Do you like reading? Why or why not?
I do like reading a lot. I feel like it helps me grow as a person, and it really helps to enrich my mind. I think we can learn a lot from literature, so.
Do you find it more enjoyable to read books that your teachers didn't assign?
yes, because I can read at my own pace and reread things if I need to. I'm not set to any timeline that my teacher has given me.
Where is your favorite place to read?
I like to read in the Tully actually a lot. I'll put in my headphones and I'll just like sit at a table and get lost in a book for like an hour or two, honestly.
Is there an author that you admire? If so, why?
Author that I admire. I really like Malcolm Gladwell and what he has to write. I like Shakespeare a lot. He's a classic. Jane Austen. She's also a classic.
What do you think about books being made into movies?
I love it. It just helps put like a vision in my mind of what I'm reading. Most of the time they do a good job of making it. So.
What influence do you think technology has had on literacy?
I mean, I think there's a lot of new apps that can help little kids to read. Also, like they have the Kindle, so a lot of people like to read through their iPads or Kindle or whatever. I'm pretty traditional. I like a paper-bound book. So.
Do you ever see or hear about something on television that you then go and read more about in a book or on the internet?
Yeah. If I see like a commercial or something and I'm like, oh, and that interests me, I'll go look at something. I'll read an article about it or something like that.
When is the last time you bought or rented a book from a bookstore or library?
Last week, actually, I got Victor Hugo's Notre Dame de Paris in French, so still have to read that.
Do you prefer reading or writing?
Depends on what I'm reading about and depends on what I'm writing about. If I'm writing about a certain subject that just flows and that I really enjoy writing about, then I'd say I enjoy writing better. But if I'm reading a book that I'm really into as well, that I can learn from, then I would say reading.
Do you ever write for purposes other than school?
Yeah, I have a diary and a journal that I write in. Yeah.
Would you ever consider writing a novel?
Yes, I would.
What would it be about?
I would like to think that I have a pretty interesting life. I've been through a lot of trials and such, and I think a lot of people would be interested to know what goes on around my head. So I always wanted to start a novel about my life, so yeah.
What is a major difference between a short story and a novel?
I would say a short story is kind of like a little story that's kind of fun and like you read it for pleasure and there's not a lot of depth to it, but I would say a novel has a lot more to it, a lot of depth and a lot more literary tools, I guess you could say.
How would your life be different if you never learned to read or write?
Oh my God, it'd be completely different. I wouldn't be in college here today. I wouldn't have gone to high school. Wouldn't be in middle school. I don't know. It should be a totally different spectrum.
How would today's society be different if students weren't taught how to read and write at a young age?
The same thing. Everybody would be different, you know. No, people wouldn't go to college. People wouldn't go to middle school. There'd be a lot of different privileges for people who did learn to read and write. So, huge.